Welcome in to DC On Screen episode 348. Is it 348? 348? Is that
14?
Yes, 348.
Oh Lord.
100. What? 348 is the DC On Screen episode.
Sure.
Legends of Tomorrow 215, though. Fellowship of the Spear is what we're reviewing, getting super spoilery on. I'm David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
To recap, the legends find the last piece of the spear, but they need Jesus' blood to destroy it. Okay. They track down...
That's it.
Just reading the line. They track down JRR Tolkien to aid in their search. Meanwhile, old evil Snart finally appears in the flesh and begins to psych Mick out, claiming the crew never really trusted him like he did. The team eventually finds the blood, but during a heated Parisian battle loses the spear when Mick betrays the legends for the Legion. And fighting ensues, and the Waverider over what they should have done with the spear, while the new Legion of Doom does some chanting to activate the spear. Yeah, I liked the guy that played Tolkien.
Yeah, he was good. And something I really appreciated about this, he was there, but it could have been like, he made sense for the plot. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel weird. And I had two things happen. Like, it was funny when you could see, like, Rip's speech, for instance. I have never read The Fellowship of any damn thing. I don't know, man. But I'm willing to bet that every time the dialogue suddenly got really good, it was probably Rip from Tolkien. So, like, I don't know, but I'm betting that speech that Rip gives to calm the troops is at least partially somewhere in a book.
Right.
And
and
it's nice. You can see Tolkien back there, like, memorizing every word of that speech. Like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah. I don't know Tolkien. They said Tolkien the entire episode, so I'll say Tolkien.
We'll say Tolkien, I guess. Yeah. Why not? Let's hope they did their research.
I've always said Tolkien. But my favorite part of this episode, it was almost like, oh yeah, we just need blood of Jesus. Cool. Gideon set a course for the crucifixion, and Rip is like, absolutely not. Like, it was just like, we are not pissing off that many people. He didn't say that, but that's what they meant.
No, they handled it perfectly well. Like, the birth, life, and death of Jesus Christ are not to be messed with.
He's like, do you know how much trouble we're getting in just saying that he was real?
Using his blood and the Spear of Destiny and all this crap. Oh my, we are not about to go. We are not pulling a Mel Gibson on this thing. Yeah. We have now shown that Jesus Christ is real, and also that science is absolutely correct, and I don't know how we're reconciling all of that, but we are not about to go find out. Let's just drop this right now. We will find a way to do this. Look, it's DC. There are characters like Blue Devil. I mean...
Absolutely.
Like, there is a heaven and hell in DC. There's a God. There's a whole thing.
Absolutely.
But, Lucifer's on another freaking channel. Like, it's clear, like, it's not biblical stories exactly, but the characters are there.
Yeah.
I've never seen Job show up in a DC product anywhere, but shit.
I love it because it's very much actually I think I have, but I love it because it's also like the first thing I thought of, like, oh cool, just go to the crucifixion and get and then he's like, no, I'm like, oh okay,
you just can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Write your way out, guys. Write your way out.
Well, there are times where, like, when you have all of time and space to mess with, like, my first thought was like, okay, skip the crucifixion. He was in that tomb for 3 days. Probably some bloody bandages in there. Roll the stone back, siphon a little blood, roll the stone back over.
Right.
I would be a very sneaky time traveler.
Well, they don't even cloak when they're landing. So
yeah, Thomas would still doubt. I don't know what I saw. Could have been a ship.
I kind of wish they'd played up more of the angle of the Spear of Destiny talking to everybody and like tempting them.
I didn't. I maybe just wish they'd picked their shot a little better. Because Vixen's stuff was just awful. Now I did like with Mick. You didn't expect him to say, "I hear my family." That was cool. You expect, riches.
I teared up a little when he said that.
Yeah, like all of the stuff that he's been into. You didn't expect him to really be thinking, I could go back and, not murder my family. That was a neat moment for Mick. Now, the thing is, though, what happens to Mick in this episode happens for stupid reasons, but I like what he does with it. Like, the actual acting in it's great. Like his little argument with Snart early on, still good. So I like Mick's choices. Like Mick chooses to not do that. He does finally choose to take the spear over. I have a side bet in my head that he's going deep cover. I kind of think that's my bet. I'm sorry. That's where I'm landing, is that he's decided, like, in that final moment there where he decides to cross sides, I think he thinks that if they had fought right then, they would have lost anyway. And if he goes over, he still has, like, access to the spear. So I think he's still on the team. And they're just going to have to trust him on that. But the thing is, like, what I really hated about this was they invented this. There really hasn't been that much distrust towards Mick. There hasn't been like a running theme that they don't trust him. They just made it up for this episode.
I mean, most of the time, if they say anything, I mean, it's just a joke about how he's an asshole or something.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like there haven't been running jokes about how Ray keeps a lock on his mini fridge or something. Like nothing like that. It's just been like he's an asshole, but he's part of the team, and we all trust him. And then suddenly, I guess we never really did trust him. Well, you did over and over again with your lives. And like, beyond that, like where it gets weird with Vixen is they kind of abandoned a little bit that Vixen Rory mentor thing. That's kind of gone to the wayside. So it didn't pay off now when she feels betrayed by Mick. It didn't really pay off to me because they've again, it's just been dropped. I mean, it was cool back when she was bringing him, what'd she bring him, like pirate rum or something at some point?
Something like that. It was working fine, and then they kind of abandoned it for
bootleg whiskey.
But they needed more time for her to have sex with Nate. So
so that got abandoned. So Nate could go be a douche and tell her about his family, or her family. Sorry. But the other thing was with Vixen, just within this episode, at first she wants to wield the spear. She gets outvoted. So she clearly wants to, like, that's her stance is we should just wield the spear and do things correctly. They outvote her. And then when she actually gets the chance to use the spear, like Mick invites her into the whole Legion thing for a second as he's supposedly betraying the team, and she gets all indignant about how she would never use it. Like, bitch, 20 minutes ago you were about to pull that thing out. You still off on the battlefield 10 minutes ago. You were still like, we can still do it. And she gets the chance to use it. And then when they get back to the battleship, or to the Waverider, then she starts getting pissy again about how they wouldn't let her use it. Like, come on, man, pick a side. She was just all over the place. Like, her motivations were whatever they needed to make the scene slightly,
cogent?
Tension, just to put tension in there. Yeah.
Oh, tension.
Yeah, I wouldn't use cogent on this episode. I don't bring the word cogent near many Legends of Tomorrow episodes.
Legends of
Tomato, yeah. I don't know how that happened. There is.
I wish it was called that now.
No, literally, there's a tomato in my peripheral. It's in the kitchen.
I do like tomatoes.
Yeah.
I call them maters.
We got people coming over. We're guacking it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing I want to gripe about.
Sure.
All right, so it's been in his head the entire time. Like, Snart's been in Mick's head. That's been established. Him and Victor have gone over it. They ran every test that they could think of. Victor, a world-renowned scientist, could not find any proof that this was not an internalization of Mick's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then he spills the beans to Snart before Snart actually punches him, thinking that it's still just something in his head. I'm watching this thinking like, yeah, I can't blame him. I mean, shit, he didn't know.
Yeah.
And then they get back to the Waverider, and again, it's whatever the writers needed for that scene. Suddenly, even Martin Stein doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
Thinks he probably should have thought through that. Thinks that, it displays something about your character that you told Snart. You know it's an internalization. There's no proof, no previous proof whatsoever that Snart was ever in existence.
He even said, even if he was just in your mind.
That makes
it proves
no
something.
sense.
It proves something about yourself that you...
It doesn't.
Dude!
It doesn't prove a damn thing.
Yeah, they're just sort of... They've just flown off the reservation here. They don't...
No, that's the equivalent of saying, like, if Stein had a sex dream about Sarah, then clearly he's lost all of his love for Clarissa, I guess. No. Or at least the
if
equivalent of
the-
like thinking he could fly and then jumping off the top of the Waverider without Firestorm.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, we get at least two Wilhelm screams during a bloody World War I battle.
I didn't catch him, but I laughed when he pointed it out.
Like, can we not, like, is it just too real for you guys? Like, every time there's any kind of war, you gotta have, like, people getting killed with a Wilhelm scream?
Oh, no.
Like-
Was that any worse than the Gremlins joke that got pulled in?
Ugh.
It made me giggle a little bit, but it was one of those where I laughed a little bit and thought, oh, you didn't need to do that. That wasn't necessary.
No. Ugh. Anyway. Unhappy with this episode of Legends of Tomorrow.
It didn't even make sense on its own. I mean, Jelly Bean
Not
transmogrification
terribly.
was pretty fun.
That was pretty amazing.
It was pretty great. I don't see why he didn't grab a handful of jelly beans. I sure would. But
I wouldn't have even eaten the first one. I'd be like, yeah, that's weird.
I would have definitely eaten one. Like I gotta know. Is this? Oh my god, that's right. Cool trick. I like that it's something they've been working on. It was a good bit, but yeah, don't know what to do with most of the rest of it. It was one of those where I know it got us to the end. Like they did. Well, I'll say Tolkien. I guess they did right by Tolkien. It's a little cameo. That wasn't a problem. Mick's story, when it's just him, is fine. Like he does mourn his parents. He's got to that point in his life, and he's off to fix his fiery past. That's great. I like what he's doing. I don't like what happened around him. What happened around him was nonsense. And I guess it'll get us to Doom World next week.
Yeah. You know, I even sort of resented them for it's the blood of Christ, you're predictable. Like, oh, shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was bad. Just...
yeah, there's only...
That's what I felt about the show.
Yeah. I mean, only two left. We got Doom World and Aruba. And then we'll see what they come up with for next year.
I'll say this: it was better. Like this season has been better than last season.
It has. It's just that they're still doing a couple of strange things, and I don't even mind. Like they really kind of let the chains off a little bit this year. Like, hey, let's bring in Lucas and Tolkien and everything. It's fine. I don't have a problem with them really going for it on this show. I think it's the point of this thing is to see how far they can push spectacle. It's great. But you still have to have a story that makes sense. Like, the characters have to hang together. And this episode, they completely abandoned the idea that these characters have a past. Mm-hmm. Even within the course of the episode, they forgot what the characters were doing. Like, if
a little bit, yeah.
If they were on set, I forget who plays Vixen, but if she was on set at some point going, okay, why am I saying this again? I totally get her. Or could you see Katie Lotz, like, looking at the director going, okay, why am I mad at Mick? I don't understand. Right,
I don't know if they asked those questions. You would think that they've just decided, we'll get whatever. They'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Do they watch their own shows? I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, they do.
Probably don't have time.
They do.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna call it.
I think it's all I had. Sorry, I didn't have anything more positive to say.
But we're gonna be really positive about this Arrow episode.
Yeah. So join us.
DCOnscreen.com for every episode of our show. You can find us. Please go and subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher and wherever you listen, because downloads are so incredibly important. And you can always go back on your device and listen to them later if you don't want to listen to them right now. Mm-hmm. Wink. But we're going to be coming right back with a review of Arrow 517 Capuchon, I guess is what I'll call it.
I think that's about right.
I'll go with the Kovar pronunciation. Mm-hmm. And we are proud members of the Giant Size Team Up Network, GiantSizeTeamUp.com. Forgot about that one again. And until we come back with this Arrow 517 review, keep some DC on your screen.